Hello, people, and welcome back to another episode of the New Spurs Order podcast. Slightly later than usual, but always here and ready to deliver. Um, we are back another week, a very, very busy week in the land of Tottenham, a very, very unprecedented week in the land of Tottenham. I'm here, joined by my usual co-host, Scott Hall. Yao, what are you saying, bro? You're repping the Spurs gear. When was the
Yeah,
last
no,
time I seen Yao in a Spurs shirt?
it's been a while
Chai!
still. It's been a while. Nah, flipping out. I was out early today, doing coaching and stuff like that. And then
Mm.
I just decided, yeah, let me throw this on, throwback jersey at this point. But yeah, no, it's been a good day. But listen, we'll get into it anyway. But Toby knows. I've been saying in the group that something seems mad with the club. Once certain people's number two got sacked, although you know, it was put out there as a resigning. But I know a second when I hear one. So, yeah, man, let's see what happens for the rest of the summer.
And of course, we got a special guest, man. We're normally used to one Ash, but we got a different Ash today. Ash Matic from Spurs Kings TV. Big up, man. I think we've actually been on a panel before. I think we've been on one panel
Yes,
before, man.
yes, yeah. We did one with Sava, I think. Once before. Yeah. That was the
Yeah.
first time we linked up, I think. But yeah, man, big up you, man. Thanks for having me on. It's a blessing. I love to break bread with the man them. You know what I'm saying? We're all family, we're all Spurs. Boys in it together, do you know what I'm saying? Well, big up the chat as well. I see you guys as well, man. I'll be watching, I'll be tuning in, and it's blessed to be here, man.
Good, man. We're happy to have you, bro. Very, very happy to have you. And listen, man, there's no better place to start, really. As I said, there's been all sorts of news this week, and typically we're used to like positive, we're used to pessimistic news, negative news, but we've had so many reasons to smile this week, man. I guess we'll pick up where we left off because the last pod we actually did on the show, and for those who are tuning in as well, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you're getting involved in the conversation as well, and make sure you give us a cheeky subscribe. But yeah, the last pod we had, we were talking about can we get Kudus? Man, we're talking about sending certain things back to Accra and what he could bring to our team and this, that, and the third. And that deal, I wouldn't say it was in limbo, but it wasn't done. It wasn't a done deal. And I'm happy to report a week later, it is now a done deal, right? It's now a done deal. The second week of July, and Spurs wrapped up their third signing of the transfer window, signing Mohamed Kudus for 55 million. So Ash, I'm gonna come to you first. Like, how do you feel about Tottenham acquiring this signing? And do you think that we've been able to actually find value in a market that's quite disgusting nowadays?
Yeah, to be fair, man, Danso needed a brother to eat some kenke and fufu with. You know what I'm saying? Getting his hands wet, and you know what I'm saying? It's up my business. Listen, hey, brother, I'm just so gassed in it. Like, big up to all my Ghanaians as well. I'm not Ghanaian, but listen, I'm with my Ghanaian brothers here. You know, family tree there. But yeah, man, listen, the market right now, it's a tough one, overinflated in my opinion in terms of prices. Like if you're looking at forward players, forward attackers or wingers, whatever you want to call them, they're at a mark where it's between 60 and 70 million. You know, Semenyo, he's another Ghanaian brother we were linked to a long time. He was being quoted at 70 mil. So when we get a player like Kudus for 55, and it's one of West Ham's best players, them men are pissed, ready to protest and that. So I said, you know what? This is a good look. For when they're so rattled, we know what the brother's ability is about. We've seen it for other people. We've seen it at Ajax as well, what type of player he is. Even before in the Danish league, I know that when it comes to Thomas Frank, he would have been aware of him because obviously he played in that, managing that league. And also Langa would have been watching him as well. So just from that perspective, I do like the fit. They do understand the player, and he should be able to bring a lot to Spurs because I think he's like a Swiss Army knife. Do you know what I mean? It's not that he can just play the right wing role or the number 10 role. He can do a number of roles because I've seen him for Ghana. he's played all over the shop. Do you know what I'm saying? Some people say he might have been misprofiled at West Ham because they played him too much all over the gaff. But when I'm looking at what he did, like if you compare Kulusevski, for example, and I know people might not want to hear this, but Kulusevski, would you play him on the left? Me personally,
No,
I wouldn't. I don't think it makes sense.
You wouldn't.
So that's how I look at Kudus. Kudus shouldn't be a left winger. And they had him a lot of the time on the left wing. I know he did score 3 goals out of the 5 he did there, but I think they shoehorned him in because Bowen was preferably, they wanted him on the right, do you know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why he had to play in the left, because he is so versatile. So for me, I don't know, man. Looking forward, I could even see him doing the whole, you know, Dembele thing. You know, Dembele was meant to be a forward for us, and they brought him in and they converted him into a midfielder, bro. So at times, tactically, if it's needed, brother, I can see him doing the thing there, man. But yeah, man, that's just a quick review on Kudus. But yeah, I think also just the last piece, his attributes is just something that we do not have at all. Someone that you can sting the ball in and he can retain possession, and we'd be screaming for that. When we had, I call him Brenda or Triple B Johnson, you know what I'm saying? He just goes missing. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's in the box, you can't see him, Madeline. So I prefer a Kudus that can hold that ball up for us, retain possession, and then he can take 2 or 3 men out of the game. And when you got a brother that takes 2 or 3 players out from one side, that opens up the channel for the left-hand side.
100%.
So yeah, man, that's my quick review on him.
You've hit the nail on the head. You've hit the nail on the head, and we're gonna stick on that as well, because it's like Spurs have been crying for a player who's a lock picker. You hit the perfect analogy is a Swiss Army knife. Like, he's someone who's got the quality to literally pick up the ball from a standing position and just delete 2-3 men at the game. That attribute is an asset for Tottenham, especially when we're up against deep blocks for, let's say, 30, 35, potentially 40% of games. We need those type of attributes. We've been crying out for wingers who can actually get the ball, get some chalk on their boots, and just cook their opponent. Now, before I actually get into like the squad dynamics of the signing, so for me, and yeah, I want you to speak to this as well, but for me, I loved the announcement video, right? For me, with Tottenham, we're a club that are quite bland. We're quite vanilla when it comes to announcing players. And when I look at the type of player we signed as well, you hit the nail on the head again, Ash, bringing a Ghanaian to Tottenham, where it's literally like a mini Accra. Like, and I know we've already got Danso, yes. I know we've got loads of like other black players in the squad, but this for me represents a move to bring quite literally one of Africa's best players. He's Ghana's best player, and he's a Ghana international, and he's one of the best African players in world football at the moment. To bring him to the club, I don't know, that adds an extra level of like happiness to the deal for me. And then that announcement video, it just made it all the more sweeter, man. So yeah, tell me, what does the deal mean for you, and where do you see Thomas Frank deploying Kudus?
I think the deal for me, and what made it kind of like one of our better reveals was, you know, they got a dub plate from Stoneboy. Like, this is like, man mentioned the player's name and his shirt number before I even knew what his shirt number was. I was like, swear down. I said, okay, man's 20. Okay, this is good marketing, bro. I didn't know this. Yeah. But for me, like, I feel like in the past, Spurs have done good transfers, but as in terms of building a squad, they've done a lot of things wrong. Yeah, because let's be honest, yeah, when we talk about, you know, culture clubs and stuff like that, everyone turns around and, you know, they say, oh, Arsenal's the culture club. I'm like, no, they're not. They just managed to jump on the bandwagon early and people just ran with it. You go Tottenham, you know what North London's really about just from being in Tottenham, the area. And I don't think the club utilized what was around them until like AJ Tracy started jumping on board and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's nice to see that they're finally realizing what community the actual club sits in, and they're utilizing the things around them. In terms of signing Kudus, though, this is for Tottenham, this is equivalent to when Chelsea signed Essien. It's that level of like, you've gone and got that nation's best player and brought them to your club. Like obviously Arsenal signed Partey, and at the time when they signed Partey was the best player at Ghana, but we're glad that right now he doesn't represent football. Such is life. But with Kudus, you've got a player that he made a big statement going into the World Cup. He said something along the lines of, if given a chance, he can be as effective, or he's got the dribbling prowess of some. I think he said something along the lines of Messi. Like he put a massive target on himself when he made that statement. But in the World Cup, he was Ghana's best player. We saw what he could do. Like on the ball, he was fantastic. He got a move off the back of that, went to West Ham that first season, lightning. Like easily one of West Ham's best players, if not their best. And then the second season, what I don't like about fans is they do this nastiness of, he wasn't even one of our better players this season, without any context as to why he might have not been one of your better players. You had a managerial change for one. The manager that you got, I don't personally rate or respect in any shape or form. Misprofiled the player to high heaven. And he wasn't happy. Why would you be happy? Like, you're getting put in positions you don't want to be put in, and man are expecting you to create goal. It doesn't work like that. I think Frank is a better fit for him. Frank seems like a manager, a coach, that listens to the players, tries to get the best out of the players, but also puts them in the positions where they can perform to the best of their ability. For our squad, I think the right wing position is the position for Kudus. But I won't be surprised if he's tussling for that number 10 spot. That's just my opinion. I think the number 10 spot, as much as people might not want to hear it, I think it's up for grabs. I think it's a triple threat match right now, but one of them is not. He might not make it to SummerSlam because he's currently injured. So it's a singles match.
See, that's interesting. The number 10 spot is definitely up for grabs, and we'll talk about that later on. But so it should be. You made a very good point on the failures that Spurs have had in the past, which is not building a squad. For me, Kudus represents someone who improves our first 11 and improves our squad, right? And I actually think, for me, his role is quite set in the team. Like, I know, yes, he can play central, but I feel like we'll use him there in circumstantial moments. But for the most part, I think he's going to come off the right. And when I look at the dynamics of our team, think about it. Kulusevski, he's still nursing a knee injury. So he's not going to be back for a minute. So really, all we had on the right-hand side was Brennan Johnson. Now, Kudus comes into the team. You have Kudus and Brennan Johnson. And not only do you have a better player than Brennan Johnson, you have a different profile player for Johnson. So, if there are certain games where Maddison's not available or a certain other player who we're going to speak about isn't available and we want to go for something different in the midfield, I can play Kudus off the right. Because Kudus is going to be the wide playmaker. He can drift inside. He can create. He can beat players. This is that and the third. Or if he wants to go for something different and playing in transition, I want a ball carrier. To Yao's point, and some of those other players aren't available. Maybe I might go for Kudus through the middle. Maybe I might then put Brennan Johnson on the right and have Brennan Johnson running off the shoulder and trying to make those outside to in runs. So for me, listen, Kudus has to improve. Make no mistake about it. He has to give us much better than he gave West Ham last year, because you're right, Yao. There's a lot of factors that play into it, but ultimately he was poor. And a player of that caliber, you have to perform much better than he did last year. But you would hope that playing under a manager like Frank, who has a lot more structure to his attack, playing in a better team, playing in a better environment, with all due respect, surely these things should help bring out the quality that he has. It's not like we're asking him to do something he can't do. He can do it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's done it in the Premier League. These are qualities he has. He just needs to bring them to the fold, really.
I could say it could be a mentality thing at West Ham as well. I think that could be what was he fighting for? Did he feel interested? Did he feel included? Being pushed around the squad, like, play this position, play that position. I think what I read into that kind of interview when he did speak he was like, I am a right winger. That was one thing he did say.
Yep.
And also he felt like he was going to be the main man. And I thought that was important, that he felt important in the squad, that he had a position, he had a role to fulfill. And I think coming into a team like Tottenham and given that kind of boost, as you said, a new environment, someone's a bit settled. He's going to be 25 on August now. So now he's going to be coming into his own. I think now you're going to see the step up. Champions League football. He's a Champions League football player. Do you know what I mean?
100%. 100%. And it's good that you mentioned these interviews as well, because again, honestly, everything about this deal I loved. I loved the announcement. I loved the interview. I loved the photos. But the interview himself, like, I don't know whether it's an African thing, but he's got this mentality that I love. He literally said straight, I'm here to entertain the fans. I'm not messing about. I'm here. I'm a winger. I want chalk on my boots. I'm here to entertain the fans. They're going to see entertainment. And then he spoke about Frank. Intent. He's honestly, he spoke about Frank, and he literally said he's excited to work with Frank. He's seen the work that Frank has done with attackers, and he's excited to see what Frank can do with his game. So I'm like, this is a man who's self-aware. He knows what he's good at. He knows what he brings, but he also knows who he's playing for and what he can do with the manager that he's playing for. So, boy, man, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. Everything about this deal just makes sense. Optics, squad fit, technical ability, it makes perfect sense for me. And we're getting him at a good age. And as I said, we need ballers, bro. Spurs need ballers. If there's anything if there's one thing we can say, is the team's too bland, it's too vanilla. We need X-factor players who can just make something happen. And that's him. We just need to hope and pray that he gives us the consistency that we're searching for. But it does make us better. I can't lie, it makes us a lot better. But we can move on to the next topic anyway. We're very very, very happy to see Kudus at the club. So hope he bangs and hope our squad is better for it. But one door shuts, another door opens. As I said, unprecedented week for Tottenham. So Spurs, the ink wasn't even dry on Kudus. He hadn't even signed the dotted line yet. The ink was not dry after securing a 55 million deal for Kudus. And Spurs have gone to Nottingham Forest and have thrown 60 million Great British pounds, sterling cash at Nottingham Forest to take their captain, break him out of his release clause, and at the time, send him on his way to Tottenham to perform a medical. Yao, I want you to talk on this one, because where was your head at when you saw that news breaking? Honestly.
Listen. Listen. Wait, I've got to find a way of getting past this without laughing. Listen.
I might as well Gideon that.
He's excited. He's never been here before.
He's rushing.
Nah. I ain't been here before. I ain't been to this ring before.
Behave, bro.
You know when you've been doing the house party circuit for too long, yeah, you think, yeah, I run that, yeah, and then somebody's like, you ain't been to a festival before, bro. Come over here. I've got some sights for you. And you walk in there, you're like, I want everything. Like this is what it feels like. Listen, the part that killed me was going into like the last 2 weeks, and Toby would admit to this. In the group, there's been just arguments, left, right, and center. Forget even the Kudus deal, just arguments left, right, and center. What's going on in the club? Something's happening. Nothing feels right. It's like just too many things are falling apart. But I had a strong feeling. I couldn't put a finger on it, but I had a strong feeling something is not right, because Donna had been left, and I was like, yo, you don't go to a man's house and slap his favorite cousin, and it don't shake up the whole family, bruv. That man are gonna be like, what's happening here? Who is this person that's come here and just caused havoc in our household? But I needed to see some sort of movement. And when I saw like the Kudus still get done, I was like, yo, what's going on here? And before I could even put my phone on charge. I'm just seeing, here we go for Morgan. I'm like, yeah, okay. All them rumors we heard from other podcasts and other people saying, yeah, there's something, there's a shake-up at board level. This person's arrived in, and I was like, okay, stuff is starting to make sense. Yeah. It wasn't even just the Gibbs-White news that made me realize, okay, yeah, things are churning. We got the here we go. And then a tweet come out from Fabrizio saying, yeah, they're not done with midfield recruits. I said, excuse me? What do you mean? Wait. Let me breathe. Yeah, let me breathe. You know what this feels like? This feels like, raw. You've just booked your holiday. You've paid for the hotel. And then one of the boys is like, yo, you man, don't worry about the flights. It's sorted. You're like, all right, yeah, cool. And then he's like, you man, don't worry about food and drinks. It's sorted. It's all inclusive. You're like, all right, bro. And then you go to your phone, you get a notification that the £900 you just spent on the hotel has been returned. And you're like, oh, Ross, wait, has the check bounced? And he's like, nah, that's been covered as well. Bro, I don't know what's happening at Spurs, but none of this happens if Levy's in full control. Let me make this clear to the Levites, the Levynomics, and all. If Levy was just in full control, none of this happens. In fact, Kudus would be the only deal. That would be it. It would be one and done. But that Morgan kind of deal, it just shows how important that Europa League win was. Because I don't think we'll be here without it. I'll be brutally honest. I think if we lost that final and United, that demonic club, had won it, I think things would be the other way around. Like, we know now, obviously from tweets and stuff that have come out, that, you know, there's some sort of investment, naming rights and all this kind of stuff is coming. So I'm expecting now a very, like, a never seen before summer for Spurs. That's what I'm actually expecting. Like this, let's be serious about this Gibbs-White news. We paid the release clause. We're hearing, yeah, he's going to have, you know, medical and all that kind of stuff. Nottingham Forest decide, no, me not like that. And they want to come and block it. And Spurs are like, all right, you do what you need to do. Don't worry. He'll be in our shirt soon. Bruv, that's a Man City move. We don't move like this. Spurs never move like this. Yeah? We're moving wicked and bad. And let me tell you this right now. I'm not the fan you give wicked and bad to, because I will be unbearable. You will never see nothing. I will be unbearable. What? Now, I'm even more vexed. Actually, now that I thought about it, I'm vexed. Why couldn't they have done this straight after the Europa League final? Why couldn't they have said, yeah, raw, we sorted out all these deals, and we could have gone and got certain man. Could have got Ryan Cherky, but it's fine. I'm allow it for now. Yeah. Gibbs-White, I expect him to be in the shirt by the end of the week, if not this week, by early Monday, because I don't know what Nottingham Forest are crying about. That this is not the big boy table. I know man don't want to hear this, but the big boy table ain't for Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Aston Villa. It ain't for them. There's only ever been in English Premier League history 6 clubs that can really talk wicked. In fact, the Premier League wouldn't even exist if 5 teams didn't vote for it, and Tottenham were one of them 5 teams. So it's about time we start acting like a big club. I've been saying it for time. We're a big club that's always acted like a small club. I ain't got time for it no more. The chest needs to be inflated like Pamela. Big boy. Triple. I can't even say the letter because it's a madness. It's a wife for that. But you know what the size needs to be. Inflate that. Pump some, bro.
Yeah, man. It's hard to disagree with what you said. It's a big move. It's a bomber. Literally, when it came out, my first words were bomber to bomber. I said, bomber, where is this coming from? Literally, it was crazy. I had just finished like putting out my Kudus video, right? Or I just finished like marinating the Kudus video. And I'm like, what is happening here? Like, and you hit again. You hit the nail on the head. Like, we don't behave like this. We don't behave like this. So there is a shake up at the club, and we're going to talk about that later on. But if I stick on the signing, I don't know, Ash. I want to get your actual thoughts on the player and like what you think of his importance and need for our squad. Because when I saw this deal come out, my first instinct was with my old Spurs brain, which is, yeah, he's a good player. He's got tech. But I'm looking at that thinking, 60 million. And we still got this position to and this position to fill and this position to fill. I'm like, I don't know if I'm not against the signing. I'll take it. But I'm like, I hope this doesn't cook our other positions. Because if it cooks our other positions, I'm not going to be happy. Because we've already got this player, this player, this player, this position. I'm like, but then they're like, the Spurs said, no, Toby, calm down.
Brief.
This is to make our squad better. We're still going to deal with the back end. I said, huh? I said, what?
Wait a minute.
I said, what? Are you telling me that this is a signing to strengthen our depth? Our depth. And when I say this depth, I don't mean, oh, he's never going to start. Yes, he could come in and be a starter. But what I'm saying is Spurs are actively buying an established starter and probably one of the better players in the Premier League in that position to come and compete for a starting spot in a team where they already had not one, but two players already fighting for that position. When have we ever seen Tottenham behave like this? When?
Yeah, brother. You know what? That's what Levy's done to us. I'll be real. Stockholm syndrome. It will have you moving like this. Oh, but what about the squad size? What about the players for Europe, Champions League? What about, the club train home players? Like, nah, brother. We got this. Don't worry about that. And before, we had to get players out before we could get players in. Yeah. But anyway, you want me to talk about the player. This is a player I've been following. I'll be real. I did a video called James Maddison Alternatives. And he was a player that popped into my head straight away. And I said, if you can't get a Maddison, I want to see a Gibbs-White. I remember his name was ringing bells from early. And at the time, there was an Arsenal player called Gibbs-White. So I'm thinking, why are they rating Gibbs-White so high? Why is everyone talking about Gibbs-White? Not knowing there was a youth out, the Molyneux at Wolves, just doing a madness, innit? Played at England at under 16s, under 18s, under 19s, under 21s. And he mashed it up each time. And he's won tournaments with them, being the leader, being the capo. Do you understand? So not only are you getting a player with a wealth of experience, but you're getting a brother that is like, he's a general. And that's, you can see by the way the Forest fans reacted. That man lost their mind. Their heads are hot. Do you understand? So I said, yeah, that's how you know we're getting a serious brother. Don't forget, obviously, Man City were serious. They had personal terms agreed. They were in talks. Pep, the boss, the ogre, yeah, he wanted him. Yeah, he wanted MGW, brother. So I can't talk on it enough. But like when he was developing, he played under Nuno already. Do you understand? So he was playing around players like Matinho. Remember, we wanted him. Yeah, that midfielder, that DM. He was already playing under Neves. Yeah, he was playing under players like Vitinha. Yeah, bless Jota, isn't it? RIP Jota. He played alongside Jota. Do you understand? So those are the schoolage. That's what he's inheriting, the intelligence, the football IQ. Those are the ballers that are around him. Now, if I go into Forest days, I could say, he even linked up with Johnson and he made Johnson look half decent. And man, they were saying, you man got the wrong lighty. And I agreed. I said, man missed out, Why did we go for...
I said
he
that
was the
time.
one...
Said that at the time.
Brother, he's the one that put Johnson on the map, There was one guy I always remember against Leicester. I said, oh my days. Them man were doing 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, bang. I said, yeah, he's crazy. But like coming into like the actual football acumen of his player, a lot of people will just look at him as a player that breaks lines through his ball carrying. And to be fair, in this day and age, that's like gold dust. Breaking lines through ball carrying, like literally dribbling through that central area. You see it with a player called Morgan Rogers. He's really good at doing it. I know obviously Kudus, we've spoken about him already. He can do it, but it's a very rare commodity in football in terms of breaking the system. Teams try to set up a certain way and they try to be stubborn. if you've got a player in your actual toolkit that can do that, that's something special. But I want to talk about his passing, because that's not something I think gets noticed a lot. Obviously, we've got Maddison, and Maddison's known for his passing, but I've seen him press high, win the ball up, and have the right decision making to find a Langa or a Hudson-Odoi, and the weight of pass and the timing when to create that pass as well. I've seen him do that with through balls, but also equally when they're sitting in the low block in Forest, I've seen him distribute, switch to play, open the pitch up, balls over the top, find players. I've seen him do Travellas outside of the boot from deep. You know, that kind of position. I don't want to say Trent, but it's the only player I can think of, even Porro, where he's a bit further back in the pitch and he hits a diag, but it's into the box. That's what he can do. He can do crosses as well. So we've got now a player that can create from wide areas, not just centrally. And I think that would be the slight difference between him and a Maddison in terms of like passing on the ball. Maddison's really good at, you know, doing the Travellas as well, doing those passes in between the lines, finding players further up. And I don't want to compare the two, because Maddison, for me, is our best 10. But in terms of what he brings that's slightly different in a different skill set, I see him as a player that can drift wide in tight areas, receive the ball, and kind of pass and hit those balls and do link-up plays as well. But the main thing I want to make, which is different to Maddison, is the engine. It's the engine. And if you play ball, you know how important engines are. Do you know what I'm saying? You know how important it is for players to cover every blade of the grass. And that was my one criticism with Sarr. Sarr is an engine, but his end product, his quality, his tech.
Janky.
To get it. Now we've got the finished article. The finished article. And that's why people are like, Morgan Gibbs-White is his best position is 10. I think he can do the 8, because I think he has done that. When I was watching him at Forest, before he was the main number 10, I've seen him fill in that position as an 8 before. I know he's done it at Forest as well, central midfielder. Even at Sheffield United, when he played with Ndiaye, and I know you guys know about Ndiaye at Everton now. When he was at Sheffield United, he was playing on the right wing. Mad. You know what I'm saying? Distributing from the right. So I know he's played numerous amount of positions, and he understands players' runs. That's more important to me. So he's going to be able to unlock players like Johnson that we don't rate. Do you know what I'm saying? He's going to be able to unlock Kudus if he's on the right wing. He's going to be able to spot because he's got good vision. But not only that, he's got the experience from the youth level, and he's got at least a minimum of 4 to 5 years in the Premier League. And so now we've bought a Premier League proven player who's tenacious, he has energy, can win the ball back, ferocious, but then at the end of it, he's got the end product. Shooting wise, he's got different types of finishes as well. I've seen him finish inside the box. I've seen him do weaker foot finishes. I've seen him hit corners. I've seen him shoot outside the box as well. And it hits. So for me, you're looking at a total midfielder, in my opinion. And that's like you said, you man already said, he's going to improve and raise the ceiling, or raise the floor, shall I say, of the actual squad. The squad
100%.
building. That's the more important thing.
100%. I think with Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White, that represents that for me represents two technically gifted footballers who have power. Like they're not weak. You get them on the ball, they're very hard to get off the ball. They can retain the ball very well, and they can carry the ball and delete players, right? And again, they both have that sort of technical ability where they can actually manipulate the ball, and obviously they got the tricks, etc., etc. So for me, I don't disagree with most of what you said. I'm happy you did also recognize that Maddison is still our best 10. Yeah, because I know certain man don't agree on here.
Are you the best at work if you work 33% of the time?
What I'm gonna say is, listen, hear me out. Maddison for me is our best 10, because when I think of what a 10 is meant to do, like they're meant to be that excellent executor in the final third, and I think Maddison does that the best of all our 10s. But I like the fact that Spurs are bringing a player who can take his shirt, right? I want Tottenham to sign, and I'm gonna say this, big pause, shirt takers. Yeah, if you're not on job, hear me out. If you're not on job, I'm ripping your shirt. I'm taking it off your back. And I'm taking your spot in the team. Because when Maddison is out, we've got Kulusevski, and Kulu's good, but we know Kulu frustrates. And whilst I don't think there's like a chasm of quality between Kulu and Morgan Gibbs-White. The fact of the matter is this: Morgan Gibbs-White performed better than Kulu last year. Morgan Gibbs-White is playing; he's going to be playing in a better setup, and he's someone who the manager sees in that role. If Maddison is not on job, your shirt's gone. If Morgan Gibbs-White isn't on job, your shirt's gone. Kudus, if you're not on job, Kulusevski's taking your spot when he's fit. Kulu, if you're not on job, Kudus is taking your spot when he's fit. Johnson, if you're not on job, Kudus is taking your spot when he's fit. And when I'm naming these names, you're noticing outside of the outlier and Brennan Johnson, who's obviously the one that gets the goals, the drop-off is not big. The drop-off isn't big. So you can go into the Champions League. Kulu's injured now. Kulusevski's injured now. Are we sweating?
No.
If this was us last season when Kulu was injured, we're sweating.
100%.
Kulusevski's injured now. We're not sweating. Madison gets injured now. We're not sweating. We're not saying, oh, Berg will come and save us. No, because you've got Morgan Gibbs-White, a player who has proven that he's good enough to, at the very least, take another step up from Nottingham Forest. May not be good enough for Man City, but certainly good enough to come and compete for a spot at Tottenham. That's the way I look at it.
Fair.
I can't disagree. I can't.
And
You know what?
more than 33%. I don't play no computer games at 33%.
Yeah. Whatever.
You barely get past game 5.
Ash.
No, I was gonna say one thing I will add as well, which I didn't mention before, is his aerial ability. Like he scores goals wherever team he was at. He was at obviously Sheffield United. I mentioned he was at Wolves and obviously Forest. He ended up, but he's always scored headers, and his aerial ability, that's going to be something that's an added tool for us, not just in the box, outside the box. And you need that from your central midfielders or your attack. Whatever position your midfielder plays, you need them to be winning those second balls. And his aerial ability out of those attacking midfielders, you can mention, he's got the best aerial ability, in my opinion. So that's something, another tool you're going to add on with Morgan Gibbs-White.
Yeah, he does bring like a broad skill set to the club, and you mentioned it as well. That dogged work ethic off the ball is key, right? A lot of people who have covered the deal, they said that's one of the things that Frank likes the most about him, and I think that's for me that's a differentiator with him and the Maddison. Like, I can look at Maddison and I think, okay, you know what, you can. I think Maddison, you're the better shooter or whatnot, but Morgan Gibbs-White, he's a better ball carrier than Maddison, and off the ball, he's an animal. He's an absolute animal. So it's adding another dimension to our team, whilst not also forgetting the areas that still need to be addressed, which we'll touch on later on. But now we do have to talk about why the deal hasn't been wrapped up yet. So it's like you made a reference. You said that Spurs fans have, you called it a syndrome, Stockholm syndrome, where it's like you don't know a good thing, and then like that good thing turns into something negative. And like we've been in that situation before, Spurs fans, and then the news comes out that probably makes you think those type of thoughts. So we hear yesterday, on the day where he's meant to come and undergo his medical, we hear breaking news from John Percy, Fabrizio, Matt Law, Alistair Gold. Every single report are going. Michael Bridge, basically saying the deal is on hold because Nottingham Forest have submitted a formal complaint to the Premier League and are considering taking legal action against Spurs because they believe that we have approached Gibbs-White illegally. They think that we've essentially tapped him up, and they think that we've been able to elicit confidential information about his release clause, which not many teams will have known. And that was reflected in the exact amount that we put down to secure the services of the player. Now, I'm going to come to you on this, right? You said that you still expect him to sign for Spurs. I'm of the same opinion as well, but what is your opinion on how Nottingham Forest are behaving here? Do you think Tottenham have done anything wrong?
First and foremost, I don't think Tottenham have done anything wrong. Yeah. Especially in the like footballing world, I find it like bordering on impossible that he could have had this release clause for X amount of time and no clubs know about this. Like we knew, the public knew about Eze's release clause for the last 2 seasons. Like, we know it's 68 million. Like, that's not even a lie. That's an actual fact. Why we didn't know as a public about, say, Morgan Gibbs-White's release clause is because how many teams in the last 2 years can you remember actively going out of their way for him? There's been interest, but we haven't heard anyone say, oh, you know, they've actively gone and spoken to Nottingham Forest. And we don't know what these clubs do behind closed doors. So all of that nonsense is just a joke to me. You know, like, I don't think it's impossible for a club to find out or know what the release clause is the legal way. Yeah, and I don't think they need to go. I don't think they need to have secret calls and be like, yo, what's your release clause, bro? Yeah, so we can just go on. I don't think they need to do that. Yeah, so all of this stuff that Nottingham Forest are doing, listen, you don't go to a rave, try draw a thing, fail. Your boy goes and draws the thing, goes home, and then say, I don't want to talk to you, bruv. In fact, furthermore, I'm taking you to court because you drew the thing that I saw. You don't do that. Yeah, and this is what Nottingham Forest have did. Yeah, they finally, after many years, decades, man have been born, gone university, graduated, had kids, bought houses, had mortgages. Man's done all of this from the last time Nottingham Forest even looked at Europe, let alone saw it. And, you know, just, it wasn't too long ago we were saying we should act like we've been here before, but we know we ain't been to this rave of spending 300 mil comfy. We know we ain't been to this rave. So we're acting excited, a bit too excited, but we're acting excited. Man, I like, relax. We're like, all right, cool. We hear you. Because certain man have been to this rave before. Nottingham Forest ain't been to this rave before in a very long time. The man are vexed because their captain got taken. Bruv, Spurs lost their captain to Arsenal decades ago. You didn't see us suing them. We didn't say, oh, we're going to take you to... We're like, all right, a loss is a loss, bruv. Take that to the bank and go get yourself some more money. My advice to Nottingham Forest fans and their owner, allow it, innit? The job is done. The job is done, bruv. Like, don't come here. It doesn't look good on you, man. It does. It looks, in fact, it looks worse on you, man, that you're trying to hold on to this player. Now he's looking at you, man, like, it's sorry, it's sad. It's sad. It's embarrassing. In fact, I'm even embarrassed for Morgan. You can even see on the AI mock-ups, man, I'm happy to be at North London. I'm happy to be in London, bruv. And man, I just tried to ruin his life. Don't do this. It's nasty. Take the money, go reinvest it, give it to Edu. He can go buy 6 more players from Botafogo. Go do that. You get me? That's what we're going to do. But allow it, bro. We don't need to have all of this stuff because essentially, what are you doing now? You're delaying the transfer. He ends up at Spurs. You look even more stupid. You look dumb. Just allow it, yeah, and just let us enjoy this because we've got more business to do. Because if you're not careful, the way we're moving right now, we'll go take Morello as well. Be very careful how you move, bruv, because there's money. Man, I got Arab money.
Bro, I think that's the pod name. Arab. We got Arab money. Ash, I want to get your opinion on the current situation with Forest as well, because I think Yao explained it quite well, but I want to like deep dive into some of the finer details of this issue, because it's like they're accusing Tottenham of illegally finding out about his release clause, and then they're accusing Tottenham of tapping up the player without Nottingham Forest consent. But I don't know, like, do you imagine a world where Daniel Levy will commit £60 million and haven't done this through the proper channels?
It's true, man. He's a man by the book, innit? And he's the one that was all enforcing PSR when Forest were against it. He was the one pushing the FFP when Forest were against it. Now all of a sudden we take their gal, we take their chain, and them man don't like it. You know, like in Paid in Full, and Cameron goes, no ribs, no wings, no food for you, B. You know when them men are like, Anthony, you get me? And he's like, listen, I'm gonna paraphrase again. He goes, homies die every day, B. Homies die every day. You know what I'm saying? You lose your captain. It happens, bro. It happened to us with Kane. Yeah. And, brother, you just gotta get over it. And now man's crying. I remember he tried to sue Gary Neville because he said a few words. He said something he didn't like in it, something about defamation of character. I don't know. I can't remember what. He's trying to go after him. So it's not the first time he's spitting his dummy out. He's obviously tried to go off the Palace, trying to snitch on them, saying, "Raw, they're not allowed to be in Europe, innit? After they won the FA Cup fairly, you know, they're not man." And you know what, Man City and they've got a partner, haven't they? In Girona, they're both in the Champions League. No problem with that. Do you know what I'm saying? There was another club, I forget though. They did the same thing, but when it comes to Crystal Palace, you want to snitch, huh? Why? You get it? So for me, like, yeah, man, he's rattled, first of all, because all of his fans, I see them on TalkSport talking, Rare Tear, I can't believe he's our captain. He's like, Bruno Fernandes. You can't take the heartbeat when you're trying to build a team, because obviously they had new money too. They were trying to build. I remember when they first came into the league, they were spending up over 200 M's as well. You know what I'm saying? Yep. They were getting in, they were spending up bare peas, but now it's our turn. They don't like it. You know what I'm saying? They don't want us to be the sleeping giant. They don't want us to wake up. You get it? Because they know we're about this life. They know we're a proper team. But coming back to your question, because I kind of went off in one, I was listening to Sky Sports News, and it was Dalma Chef that was having a conversation, and he said that, it was one of the other pundits actually, and they were talking about NDAs, so non-disclosure
agreements.
That's the word. Yeah. So he was saying, if that is the case, where, because you've got different types of release clause, one's that's to the public that everyone knows, and one that the agent's not even allowed to say. The agent's like sign a contract, and it's the way it's worded in the contract. It's not meant to be. It's not allowed to be public. But even still, I still don't think they're going to have enough evidence to produce to the Premier League, to the FA, to kind of scrap up our deal. As Yars already said, all they're doing is delaying the inevitable. It's going to happen, in my opinion. It's just, they're just crying about it because someone else is a club. Because had this been Man City, it'd be no problem. Had this been Man United, brother, you think there'd be so much noise? But because it's Spurs, brother, it's a big deal, isn't it? It's a big deal. The man, they don't like, they got a new op now. Yeah. For us, you want a new op, you got it. You know what I'm saying? We're here now. Yeah. West Ham didn't like us anyway. We don't care. Boo hoo, innit? They never liked us. But this, like, the Premier League, they're against. I'm gonna say it. I know it's a conspiracy theory, but these teams, they don't want us to come up. They want us to stay down. They want us to stay banter club. They want us to be Spursies. They want us to be the bottom. Now we're no longer the bottom of the joke. Now we're winning the trophies. It's a problem, bro. And they're scared. They're nervous. It's coming out, bro. It's obvious. Yeah. But yeah, man, I hope that answers your question.
It does answer my question. And you made a very, very good point on, I think there's an extra venom here because it's Tottenham, right? Because there's a level of delusion that I've seen. And we've even seen it with Wolfie. Big up Wolfie as well from Forest TV, right? But we've seen it from Wolfie. The way they talk, they're talking like Tottenham are on equal footing with Nottingham Forest because of last season. I'm reading, and they're like, why would Morgan Gibbs-White choose to come to Tottenham? And I'm like, you have been in the Championship for most of my life.
Millennials.
You have literally been in the Championship for like 30 or 29 out of the 32 years I've lived. Maybe that's not 100% accurate. I can't remember the exact year where they went down, but I'm like, you are a Championship team.
Wait.
Sorry, one sec, y'all. One sec. I'm like, and I said this to Wolfie, and I'm gonna say it to Forest fans who are listening to this. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you had a great season last year, but there is a hierarchy. There's a food chain. You are food to Tottenham Hotspur, the way we are food to Real Madrid, Barcelona, or in the older days, Man United. Man United could come take our best players, and we had to take it because guess what? There's a hierarchy. Bayern Munich can come to us and say, we're going to take your striker, Harry Kane. There's a hierarchy. So Nottingham Forest, stop putting yourselves on the same level as Tottenham, because listen, as my boys, repping time, make no mistake, we will snatch your chain, comfy. There is not a single player in that Nottingham Forest team who would stay at Nottingham Forest instead of coming to Tottenham. Not a single player, not a single one. If we put money on their head right now, they're coming to Tottenham. And Nottingham Forest, they didn't have an issue when they pulled our pants down for Brennan Johnson. Oh, you didn't have a problem there, did you? When we had to pay basically £50 million for a player who wasn't worth anything more than 20, 25, you didn't have an issue there. But when we come and take your best player and your captain, who you were fielding off potential offers for from the likes of Man City, it's a problem. You've known he's probably going to leave this summer. You've known that. But when a team comes and puts down the money that meets his release clause, because it's Tottenham, it's a problem.
No. You're wrong. No. Wait. You know what I don't understand. You know what I don't understand? I don't get. I don't know Wolfie. Wolfie's your guy, yeah. But Wolfie, I'm telling you right now, never do this again in your life. It's not even about hierarchy. Know your role, and in the illustrious words of The Rock, shut your mouth. Yeah. Listen, you don't understand.
Amen.
Back in the 90s, we went to Nottingham Forest and said, "Hey, you see that boy Teddy Sheringham? We like him. Bring him to North London. We've done this to you before. This is nothing new." Yeah. When we talk about hierarchy, as my brother Toby said, when we talk about hierarchy, we understand that in the big six, them man can talk wicked to us. We might not be able to talk wicked to them, but they can talk wicked to us. But you know that 16, number 16 in that big six is Tottenham Hotspurs. That means the rest of you 14 other bums cannot talk to us. That's not Newcastle, that's not Leeds, that's not Brighton, that's not a single one of you can dare lace up your boots, put on your shorts, and have a promo. Yeah, you don't know who you're talking to. You're talking to intercontinental, European, world champ. You're talking to man that have held the belt like this. Held it. We might have held it for like 2 months, but we held the belt like this. The placards, the flipping Titantron, it had our flipping faces on there. Your face ain't been on there. You can't. When, like my brother said, when it's repping time, we have a rep. You man don't have a rep like that. Don't ever in your life, Nottingham Forest, one of the oldest grounds in British football. Don't ever in your life think that just because your history of Brian Clough, and it was a great history, you don't ever in your life think that you can ever come to North London, Meridian Way, Murder Mile, North London, Ferry Lane, Chestnut Estate, Walk. Don't ever think you can come down MPK, White Hart Lane. Don't ever think you can come down these bits in your Nottingham Forest shirt and talk wicked. You'll be slapped all the way down to Seven Sisters. You won't even be allowed on the train. How dare you? How dare you think that you can be angry at us for taking your best player? No, brother. The next time Spurs come to the negotiating table and say, we want somebody, you turn around and say, sir, we shall offer you everything and anything more than you are our child. Yeah, we didn't be raised under your roof. You are raised under our roof. Meaning when I want to eat fufu, you walk that plate into my flipping table and you say,
send them out. Send them out.
Charlie, well done. Well done. Go and play some football out in the flipping garden. How dare you about talking to us like we're your small child? We're not small child to you, man.
They should be bringing they should even after you're done with the fufu, they should even bring you the water in the bowl to put your hand in like a real ogre.
Let me wash my hand.
Wash your hand. Yeah? That's what they are. They are the ball carriers. You are our ball carriers. Never get that twisted. Like you said, we have banter with Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, but you'll never hear us say, how are Liverpool signing this player and we're not? It's Liverpool. How are Chelsea signing? It's Chelsea. How are Arsenal? It's Arsenal. They're bigger than Tottenham. But guess what? Spurs are infinitely bigger than Nottingham Forest. So when we come down and put £60 million on your head top and break a man out of his release clause, send him on his way. Send him on his way. And you know what, yeah? I think he's rattled because they had just sold Ilanga for 55 million. So hang on a second. They have pulled new, and this is for me, this is where the anger stems from. They've messed up. They've messed up because they put a £60 million release clause on his head. And in reality, whilst I don't think he's worth like 80, 70 or whatever, they would have been well within their rights to request that P.
100.
But they have pigeonholed themselves into a £60 million fee. And the Elanga deal just makes a mockery of it because it's like, you're telling me there's a £5 difference between Elanga and Morgan Gibbs-White. It doesn't look like that way on the football pitch. But unfortunately, because of the deal that you and your club negotiated with the player and his agent, it is not our fault that we can get your best player for £5 million more than what you sold Elanga for. And I don't hate Elanga. I don't think he's a bad player, but with all due respect, there's levels to this thing. Do you get what I'm saying? There's levels. Morgan Gibbs-White is infinitely clear of Elanga, and that's the problem. That is the problem. They've just lost one of their best attackers, and they've been able to extract good money out of Newcastle, but then they're losing their best player for only 5 million more. That is the problem, and he's taking it out on Tottenham.
100%, bro. And like, I think he even said it publicly as well. Well, for what I read, he was saying, how did his team, his negotiating team, his scouting team, whoever's in charge of doing the contracts, how did they mess it up? How did they sign my man for 42 mil and then sell him for 60? Absolute howler. Yeah, I'm saying that man there are breaking plates over their heads. Yeah, I'm saying Greek style. That's why he's really mad. That's why he's really pissed. Because he knows it's on him. Nothing else, no one else. We're just laughing to the bank. We're just laughing. We're just laughing at them. So yeah, man, may long it continue, man. Let them cry.
Calm, man. Honestly, let them cry. Let them cry for real. Listen, Nottingham Forest, we'll see you next week. And everyone's reporting it. Alistair Gold, Fabrizio, they're all saying Spurs are still hopeful. We're still confident we're going to get the deal done. It doesn't look like Spurs are deterred by these theatrics by Nottingham Forest. And it just looks like they're stalling tactics. So let's see, man. Let's see. You want to get into court with Daniel Levy? You best win that case. Yeah? Cool. All right. Now, Spurs, 55 million on Kudus, 60 million on Morgan Gibbs-White. Still intentions of signing a deep line midfielder. Still intentions of signing another defender. Where is this money coming from? Well, I'll tell you, brothers, because, and this is the beauty of it, right? We saw it before we heard it. Do you get what I'm saying? Normally we hear and then we're hoping to see and we don't see. But this time we saw it, then we heard it. So we saw Spurs go out and spend a P. Then after the fact, we hear, Tottenham are closing in on a new sponsorship deal with Saudi investors. Spurs, I think it's rumored to be Aramco, which is actually funny because they were plastered all over the film that I watched last night. But Spurs are rumored to be closing in on a deal worth, I think, 300 million over X amount of years as to secure Aramco or another Saudi company as their new sponsor. So we finally get a lucrative deal over the line for sponsorship. And then on top of that, we hear that it's not just sponsorship. Some of it is equity. Some of it is investment into the club. Some of it is actual investment, liquid cash injection into the club. And then on top of that, we're hearing that ENIC are investing their own money as well. What is going on at Tottenham Hotspur?
I'll tell you what's going on.
You mentioned Donna at the start, right? Shit is changing, brothers.
I'll tell you what's going on. I will tell you what's going on. We have been run, and I'm going to give props and then I'm going to insult. We've been run fantastically from a business standpoint. ENIC, Levy, in terms of taking us, because we were well known in the UK. as a club, but maybe our branding worldwide wasn't necessarily great. You know, we had some fantastic players from Europe over the years, but maybe the branding wasn't great. And they've built the club to a point where we've got, you know, quite a good following in the US, fantastic following in Asia, strong following growing in Africa. Obviously, our fan base is growing across the whole of Europe, you know, due to our European, like, you know, history and stuff like that. Not just the Europa League, but also what we've done in the Champions League, reaching the final in 2019. So we've built the brand up fantastically. But this is where the insult comes in. As much as we built the brand fantastically on the footballing side as fans, anybody with two eyes can tell you we have made some unforgivable mistakes. And that was being led by none other than Daniel Levy. So as much as you can prop and praise Daniel Levy and Enoch for building the brand up, we could have been here faster. That's the point. Like, if things were done correctly on the footballing side, yeah, fine, we might not have had this investment, but definitely would have had one or two, or at least maybe 3 or 4 more trophies from a footballing perspective. However, had we not had this investment or whatever they'd been doing behind closed doors to get to this point, we wouldn't be talking about Morgan Gibbs-White the way we just was. We wouldn't. We would be doing transfers, and our summer business would have been how it's been as previous summers, as we've seen many times before. This investment shows that, and this is why I said the Europa League win was massive for us. It's even becoming more of a bigger deal than I thought it was, because now investors are like, that Tottenham looks very, very interesting to invest in. Let me look at what we've got over here. Beyonce goes there. Boxing goes there. 50 Cent goes there. Chris Brown goes there. They're going to be hosting one of the, or quite a few of the games at the European Championships in 2028. It's a brand new Cedar Stadium. Everything's plush. Self-investment. Formula One go-karting. The list is endless. NFL, rugby, like just investment after investment. So now you're looking around and you're like, what else are they going to do? Oh, they got hotels that they're going to be building around the stadium. They've got other investments around the stadium that they're going to be building. And slowly but surely, you're looking at it and you're like, hey, if I'm an investor, I don't want to invest in Tottenham in 5-10 years' time when, you know, it will be like £7 billion, whatever it is. I want to invest now where my money can then grow with the revenue that the stadium and the asset is making. And that we've built this up to this point. Now this is the time to do what most football teams, some I would say, but they need to do correctly. Now's the time to go and build the squad. So now that not only have you got the Tottenham brand going around the world and building up the fan base and building up the revenue, but now when people say Tottenham, they're like, yeah, that football club's pretty decent, isn't it? You know, they compete on all 4 fronts. They win a few trophies here and there. And it's no longer, oh, Tottenham are trying to be big boys. It's no, they've always been big boys. They just never acted like one. And that's why I'm interested. I haven't done a full dive into, you know, the type of investment that we've or supposedly are receiving. I haven't done a full dive into who these companies are. But, you know, I've heard people talk about sports washing and, you know, all of this jazz. And I'm like, with all due respect, in that game, nobody's clean. If you want to go down that road of sports washing and stuff like that, listen, certain people have been paying themselves for a half-assed job, for consistently, you know, doing certain things. I'm not here about the whole sports washing, because I'm not going to sit here and be pointing fingers at Qatar and saying, oh, you know, there's this issue here, left, right, and center, and not saying a damn thing about Russia and America and other countries. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make one rule for one and another rule for another. I'm just not going to do it. All I care about, and all I'm ever going to care about, is what Tottenham Hotspurs do when they cross that white line. That's all I care about. I don't care about the concerts. I don't care about the boxing. I don't care about the NFL. I don't care about the investments. I love the investments. Bring more investments. That's fine. But at the end of the day, when I switch on my TV and I search for Tottenham Hotspur, all I care for is what them man do on the pitch. and if I'm going to see armpits by the end of the season. That's all I care. Don't come and tell me, oh, brother, your money is from warmongers. Brother, I do not care. Yeah. Listen, look at my face when I say this. Robert Mugabe could own this club, and I would not care. All I care for is when 11 men cross that white line and what they do on the pitch. If you want to get into the whole politics of football and all of that jazz, be my guest. But that's not what I got into watching football for. I don't care. Now, we can have a political discussion, and I'm sure, you know, some people have got into it and all that kind of stuff, but it's fine, we can have that. But when we're talking about investments, this is the most important thing in any sort of business. We've run the business well, and that part we can all admit. We can all admit that Enoch and Levy, whether we like them or not, have run the business side of Tottenham Hotspur very well. In fact, probably to elite level, because it's self-sustaining. But from footballing aspects, we've gone 17 years without a trophy. And the year that we finally win one, we were 17th in the league. Ladies and gentlemen, I never want to experience that ever again in my life. But I will give one thanks. I'll give a thanks to Ange Postecoglou. The reason why I'm going to give a thanks to Ange Postecoglou is because I appreciate the fact that you can be such a big loser and yet help us become winners at the same time. You, man, you do not deserve a statue whatsoever. What you deserve is a rubbish bag. But I think that in that rubbish bag should at least be a gold medal, because you've changed things at this club, and I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, very well said again. And you know what? I'm actually gonna I see the angle you're going with in terms of the Europa League enticing more sponsors, but I think we had the infrastructure already and the blueprint to entice those sponsors. And to your point, it's like we needed a kick up the backside to sort of wake ourselves up. And I actually look at it on the reverse. I think the Europa League is the positive end that's given us the kick to say, you know what else can we do? We were this bad and we won it. What else can we do with more money, more intent? But then I'm also looking at the negative. I'm looking at them thinking, rah, we've got some good players here. We don't have an amazing squad, but we got some good players. How did we let ourselves finish 17th? I think that's what they're looking at as well. And they're like, I never want to see that again. We've won the Europa League. We've been given like a golden, literally like a golden ticket after such a dismal league campaign. We need to do everything in our power, be it management, be it squad refreshing, be it backroom staff replacements, be it medical staff replacements, be it boardroom hierarchy. We need to do everything in our power to make the necessary changes to never put ourselves in that position again and to propel ourselves from this Europa League win. So I think they're looking at both lenses. You're 100% correct. They're looking at the Europa League as a springboard, but they're also looking at last year as a rock bottom that we never, ever, ever, ever want to see again in our lives. And just by these two signings, in addition to Tell and even Takai, I don't even know where he's going to play. We ain't even spoken on Takai yet. But just by virtue of those 3 first-team signings plus the 20-year-old in Takai, I can safely say, with all those 3 in a Spurs shirt, Spurs will not finish 17th. Not with Thomas Frank. Spurs are going to be nowhere near 17th. Nowhere near. But the question is, can we get into 4th? Can we get 5th? Can we look potentially and see if we can target 3rd? That will be predicated for me on what we do with the remaining funds we have. What we do with the number 6, what we do with the left side of defender, what we do for the striking position, right? You pattern those 3 positions, then we can have a conversation about what I've just mentioned. Do you get? And yeah. Ash, I wanted to come to you on this as well, yeah? Because 1, I wanted to ask, what does that investment mean for you? And then 2, I wanted to ask for you to give us some words on Takai. Because obviously, amidst all of this celebrations and whatnot, we actually made a signing this week as well before Kudus. We signed a 20-year-old Japanese centre back.
Factual, man. Investment for me allows us to compete because we're able to squad build on the pitch, and we can actually compete on different fronts. So before, as we saw, we had to just choose either the Premier League or the Europa, and we decided that the Europa was the best route for us to have anything from our season, and we ended up winning it. And look what it did for our season. So, as you guys already said, I don't want to echo what you said already, but I think getting that investment in is a game changer for Spurs fans, and we're seeing it at the moment. If we do get the proper players in what we need, I think we can really kick on. And I did throw it into one of my groups. I said, guys, if we're spending north or just under 300 mil, what is now the expectation? Because when people first saw Thomas Frank, they were saying, yeah, you know what? I said 8th. I said 7th as well. But some fans were already saying 6th. So I'm saying, Rob, boom. If you deep it now, if we're spending that type of bread, like we've got to have a different expectation now. And we need to be accountable for it. We need to start saying, like, you know what? No more, gone are the days where we're saying, yeah, you know, these 8th and 7ths are acceptable. We need to start pushing on. And for this season, look, we need to start saying, look, we need to be aiming for 4th. 100% Champions League football is a must. I don't know if next season, if that 5th spot's still up for grabs. Who knows what's going to happen? So I'm saying, Rob, boom, we need to be aiming for 4th. So that's what I mean by what the investment means to me. It means we can compete for 4th and still look at one of the domestic cups in terms of League Cup, FA Cup, and have a good run in the Champions League. So yeah, and to attract players, because it's not about having a fantastic window this season and stopping. I want this to be, you know, something that's not like the new normal. You know what I'm saying? 2020, new normal. That's what I'm going with. So I think if we're going to be a big club, if we're going to be serious, and remember, them man said it, you know, not me, not you, not y'all. Them man said, we're trying to win the Premier League and the Champions League, and I need to see it. So that first signing, obviously, Ito Katara, what's it? Yeah. Katara, yeah. Katara's Castle, that's what I call it. Katara's Castle.
Yeah.
That brother there from the Japanese league, it's a shrewd signing. I don't know too much about it because I've never seen him play a full 90 minutes. I've only seen what I've seen on YouTube, but I have been pre-ing it. I have been watching it. And for what I can see, the type of centre-back he is, number one, he's 20, so the age profile, he's got room to improve. So you know about the ceiling thing, whatever. But in terms of actual football, what he brings to the table, I think he profiles similar or more as a Romero type rather than a Van der Ven type. Obviously, he's quite tall, quite languid, so that he's slightly different in terms of pace, in terms of recovery runs. He hasn't really got the speed of a Van der Ven, even though he's ambipedal, meaning he can play with both feet. I have seen him on his left foot do a switch of play, do a long ball over the top with his weaker foot, and I'm like, wow, that's a weapon we can use. When I was comparing him versus Vuskovic, he's more of a progressive passer, whereas Vuskovic is more of a ball carrier. So that's the two difference between the two centre-backs. And as I said, you can play left or right side of centre-back. So he's got versatility on that angle on Vuskovic. In terms of error ability as well, in the box, whether it be the opposition's box or our defensive box, he is really good at winning that ball. So he's a box defender in terms of winning that ball. But higher up the pitch, when he's come to defend, he can read the game quite well. He can intercept the ball, and he can see when to pick that ball up into midfield. In terms of like defending, I would say a few weaknesses, in my opinion. I don't like the fact that he goes to ground a lot. A lot of the clips I've seen, he does go to ground quite a bit. A lot of slide tackles. I think that's something that he can work on, in my opinion. But it's just his own nature, I think, as a player, his aggressive nature, his tenacity. That's the reason why you're seeing him with so many slide tackles in those show reels, those highlight reels on YouTube. But yeah, as I said before, even on the ball, even though I said Vuskovic is more of a ball carrier, he doesn't look too bad from what I saw, the little bits I did see. My question is, how is he in a defensive third when he's being pressed in the Premier League? Because you know the Premier League's a lot more physical, a lot more high intense in terms of speed, the speed of thought. I want to see how he computes that and how he levels up. And I think in those friendlies coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be able to compare maybe a Vuskovic and this new Japanese kid. We're going to see what level he's at. Do you know what I mean? I know it's still friendly. It's hard to judge a player on a friendly, but at least with a few games underneath the belt, you know, the coaching staff, Cochrane, Frank, they're going to be able to look at him and say, even Wells, because I know Wells is now the defensive coach, which I'm not super happy with, but he's only the one remaining coach that, you know, stayed out of our team. And we did have a poor defensive season last season. So that's my one little ick, if I do have one. But yeah, we need to see what this kid's saying. We need to see how he marries up in our option. Either way, though, because he's a young prospect, I can say, look, if it doesn't work out, he can go on loan, a bit like what we did with the other Korean. We put him out on loan, and if it doesn't work out on loan, we can still end up selling them because we only bought him for 5 million. So we need to start recruiting like that, in my opinion, where people are like, oh, why are you buying so many of these young players? And Chelsea been doing it. They be stockpiling, and then they've got no problem selling players, and then they've got a bag of money because their outgoings are good. They can not break the rules of FFP or PSR because they've got outgoings coming in. So Spurs need to copy that model. We need to go back to those days when Poch was developing some of the younger players, in my opinion. Do you know what I'm saying? And then pushing them through, giving them chances, and just having a look at them, and other clubs can look at them, and then we can sell them. So that's
100.
my overarching opinion on the particular purchase of this Japanese young player.
Yeah, I think you've made a good point there about like exposing those players to other clubs and then creating a market where if they don't bang at Tottenham, there's a pathway to at least make a profit on your investment anyway. I think Spurs have struggled to do that. If I look at the last 10 years, but then if I look at the last 4 or 5 years, I think Spurs have clearly had a shift in transfer approach, sometimes to the detriment of our first 11, where they're buying as many of these young players as possible, because that's what you have to do. You have to create a pool of young talent, and you have to see which ones you can cherry pick. You can move to the first team, and then you then have to assess which ones you can't move to the first team because they're not at the level, and see whether there's a market to make a profit. That's how the best football clubs run. The best football clubs, they do that, and they do the other end that we spoke about, which is investing heavily into the first team as well. You do both things right, you get a really functioning football club. I think Man City, for me, is the best example of that. Man City, they pump millions into their academy every single year. They're always on the lookout. Their network is so wide. I speak to Big Steve all the time, and he's telling me, oh, we just made 5 million off this player, 4 million off this player, 10 million off this player. You wouldn't, like, honestly, if I showed you the message, you would be surprised how many of these players are moving across Europe that have City DNA. And because Man City signed them up so young, talented, put them through their academy, and created a window for them to actually play and get attention from other clubs, they move on. Like Jan Kuto, he just went to Bayer Leverkusen. Man City are getting a piece out of that deal because he used to play for Man City. So they put a 20, 30, 40% sell on. Not saying that this is definitely the destiny for Takai, but we don't know. To your point, we don't know. He's been playing in a league that's completely foreign to us. Nobody knows how well he's going to bang. Like, we can watch all the videos we want. Nobody knows because we haven't watched him extensively enough to give a definitive statement. So we have to see if it's a first team role that he's got. We have to see how he performs. If it's a loan, we have to hope we can get in the best loan. But to your point, I think Spurs need to continue in this fashion of signing some of these young 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old players with the potential that they could become first teamers, but also doing what we've done this summer, signing the 24s, the 25s, 23-year-olds that are established first team players as well. You have to do both. It can't be one or the other. You have to do both.
Exactly. Now, one thing I've got to add as well, sorry to cut you. He did play for Japan in the Olympics as well, for the senior squad as well. So he does come with a little bit of experience compared to someone like, who did we sign? Like Hyok, for example. Bergvall, obviously he's got experience internationally, but he's another good example that we go and we scout young players, and sometimes they do work. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not writing off this Japanese kid at all. But I'm just throwing it out there. Like, we are looking for different options, young players that have a bit of experience internationally. So they do know, it's not completely foreign to them. And then they're able to come into the team and hopefully flourish in what we have. So I just thought I'd add that as well.
Fair. It's a fair point. It's a fair point to make. And listen, we're basically approaching 1 hour 20. And I think unfortunately it's the end of the pod. I think this has been a brilliant pod. I must say. Ash, I think you've been a really, really good addition. Thanks for that layup, Yao. Yeah, man. I've really enjoyed myself on this pod. Like
It's been good.
it's looking good for Spurs, man. It's looking good for Spurs. For those who are still watching, for those who are still listening as well, you know where to find us on TikTok, Instagram, X, and on Spotify, YouTube, New Spurs Order. This channel itself, it needs subscribers. Subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. Hit the subscribe button, smash the like button as well. And then, yeah, on socials, engage with us. Let us know your thoughts. Where do you think Spurs go next? Who do you think Spurs go to next? How much do you think we have left to spend? When do you think Morgan Gibbs-White will be signed? There's a lot of questions, a lot of talk, a lot of debates that we like to get ourselves involved in on the timeline as well as the pods. So yeah, man, get involved in the conversation and hit us up, man. Yao, Ash, it's been a pleasure as always. People, take care, peace up, and enjoy your weekend.
Peace.